Welcome to the Astrology of Family Karma and Relationships podcast. I'm your host, Alexander Mallon, with our wonderful co-host,
Sheila G, the guide on the side.
Today, Sheila, our discussion will be home for the holidays, since we are taping this in early December of 2024, and we
Mm-hmm.
just had Thanksgiving holiday, and of course, all the rest of the holidays are now upon us shortly. So our theme is home for the holidays, understanding our family connections and how we are wired for relationship. This is intended, Sheila, to be sort of part one of part two episodes. Today, sun signs and Jungian archetypes. Those people who don't know, you probably heard of Freud, but sort of Freud and Jung were collaborators, and some say Jung was sort of the, if you would be, student of Freud, but they're kind of similar
Like
uh,
contemporaries at the time.
contemporaries of each
Mm-hmm.
other, and their ideas about archetypes of personalities and people and who we are. So before we get rolling, folks, we do invite you to follow and subscribe to our Apple and Spotify podcasts, and hopefully subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are still a new program out there, and the search
Mm-hmm.
engines need to know that we have enough subscribers to list us when people go to search for astrology. So we're still building that subscription list. We need to have a certain critical mass to be easily found by search engines. So we do ask you, please do subscribe, do follow, do like as much as you're able to. That would be very helpful.
Yes, and we appreciate those of you that are already following our podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So thank you, and
Indeed, we
hope we
certainly do.
can share it along to the people who may be interested.
There you go. Thanks much. So, Sheila, very commonly in my life, particularly since I'm a very, very avid backyard astronomer as well,
Mm-hmm.
um, the question would come to me, what is astrology? How does it apply to my life? And my answer will be something like astrology is the study of humanity's experience of life and living cycles of nature. That really is the essence of what I try to communicate. The
Mm-hmm.
slide here showing the sun rising and culminating at noon and the sun setting during the course of the day. So, cycles of nature, we're all so used to the cycle of day and night, but we don't really think about how we are all born into this natural world environment. So, astrology really is the human sky experience, that this seasonal environmental experience. You are one with your environment. I mean, where else could you be but born here on Earth? We're not born on
Mm-hmm.
the moon or Mars yet. So,
Yeah.
astrology is a mirror of how you're born into this environmental world, seasonal and time of day and so forth. So,
Yeah.
commonly, Sheila, people think of astrology singularly as your sun sign. It's far, far, far more a complex art form, astrology, than just something as simple as your sun sign. But the sun sign, one person's sun sign, really is a foundational piece of a chart. And what is that sun sign? We think of sort of memorizing that, you're an Aries or a Taurus or a Gemini, what have you. But
Mm-hmm.
people don't realize what that really astronomically means is that the sun is moving in front of a star pattern, as we see in this pictograph here.
Mm-hmm.
The sun moving or transiting, as we call it in astrology and astronomy, the sun transiting in front of these signs, these star patterns, are literally the same as those month long at the time it takes to pass from one sign to another. And here, of course, since we're filming this in early December 2024, we have a graph that shows those late fall, late summer, early fall signs of Virgo, Libra, the mid fall of Scorpio, the early winter of Sag, midwinter Capricorn, and dead of winter
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius, where
Aquarius,
it's really,
yeah.
really harsh.
Yeah, and a lot of times people are familiar with sun signs. They usually call it the zodiac sign. Your zodiac sign is your sun sign, and you can see that
That's
in
right.
columns in newspapers and magazines about that.
So, this slide really helps me kind of communicate to people that what I want people to know about astrology and one's sun sign is really it's your season sign. I want you to think of it as your season sign, when you were born into a given season. And if you really want to get exacting about it, what sub-season, is it early winter, midwinter, late winter? Is it early spring, mid-spring, late spring? I mean, this
Hmm.
kind of this is really what those astrology signs are about. It's literally astronomically. the sun moving in front of each star pattern. In other words, if during the day at noon hour, let's say,
Hmm.
if you were to block out the sun's blinding light, what would you see behind the sun at any given time? The star pattern of, Virgo or Libra or Scorpio, or right now, December, early December, like December 8th, thereabouts, the star pattern of Sagittarius and Capricorn. That's what you see behind the sun right
Yeah.
now when you remove that blinding light.
And yeah, so when you experience that season, that develops your nature with nature.
Well, that's right. It is very true. Where we're going here, folks, is
Hmm.
if you're born during a blizzard, for the newborn baby and for mom and dad, everything that led up to that blizzard and the blizzard itself that your child was born during, all of that is a psychological, emotional um, patterning
Hmm.
that happens. So wintertime babies are one pattern, summertime babies are another pattern.
Yeah,
So we're shooting this show, right? Early December. We just had Thanksgiving, didn't we?
we did. And one of the reasons why we thought this may be a good idea is because we have, our in here in the US, our big holiday Thanksgiving was occurring after this big election that we just had in the US, which was having some impact on families, dividing families. And there were a lot of pundits on TV giving advice on how to manage your holiday season as if some of your family's members weren't on the same page as you are with the voting. So we thought we would discuss how you could navigate using knowing about the nature of your family and how that could help you navigate this holiday
Yeah,
time together.
typically families know, certainly spouses know, they know their own birth signs, their sun signs. They know the sun signs of their children. Certainly, if you're a mom, you probably
Mhm.
have memorized not only the day of each child's birth, but the time, maybe even those things that astrologers look at. So, yeah, we know when we go home for the holidays that we have a host of people that are, on the one hand, family connected, on the other hand, sometimes radically different. And that's another thing we can discuss here. Why is it certain members of your household really connect easily, and
Mhm.
others seem maybe to not connect? I think, Sheila, often in a family system, there's usually one or two birds, so to speak, that just come from a different flock altogether. Yet they're
Yeah.
part of the family, but you wonder, how did they wind up in this family? What's the
Yeah,
connection?
well, term used a lot as black sheep of the family.
Black
They
sheep
don't
of
seem like they belong in the family at all, but
that
it's just how we all inculcated into nature.
that's right. So this idea of this powerful holiday time, this
Mhm.
really powerful Thanksgiving time that we just had, and this holiday that we're having, 2024, we just had an election. Some say that we had not only a very important election for the USA, but some would even say the most important election for the USA, which led to this idea of family, how the family connects or doesn't connect. And as you said, Sheila, you made reference to these pundits and people on TV and psychologists and what have you, suggesting how to navigate these troubled times when not everybody in the family votes for the same candidate. Not everybody has the same political ideas or concepts. And what does one do? So the theme here is, can astrology, our understanding of people's nature,
Mhm.
help us navigate these complex relations? So, an important theme here, the foundational theme for astrology, really, it is the essence of astrology, nature, nature's cycles, the sun's passage, describing these 1/12, 12 signs of the zodiac, 1/12 of the year as nature unfolds from springtime to summer to fall into harvest season. So the important thing really to understand, to really get astrology, like what's a quick way of understanding astrology as the natural system it is, that we're all born into a season of the year, astrology being a system which mirrors your being born into nature, fire, earth, air, water, that were born during these seasonal changes that are hot or that have sun or a lot of sunlight, or themes of change, of earthy change and growth, etc. We'll talk about that.
Mhm.
So I love this slide because, of
Mhm.
course,
A good
we have
one.
an American guru who passed not long ago, Ram Dass, who used to say, if you think you're enlightened, if you think you've really gotten to a place of knowing oneself, knowing yourself, and being clear-minded, go home for Thanksgiving and talk to me
Yeah.
then. You know, this idea that when you go back to that root ball, that foundational place of your family, where you've got these people who are ideally are family and get along, but not necessarily really get along, that they're really very different. That's again a kind of a good test that people just had to go home for
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, to go home for the holidays, and join these personalities that are sort of from whence you came, yet you've individuated and found your own way.
Mhm.
So this slide describes something that has become, I think, a normative in our culture. Everybody knows their personality type, the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator wheel.
Well, they may or may not. It depends because it is a tool that's used a lot in corporate America. So and also if you're trying to go to for some kind of career counseling, someone may give you a test like this so you can obtain your interest. But it's definitely a tool that's used in corporate America. Some use it to hire people to make sure they fit within that company culture. And I know from my experience in corporate America, it was used a lot to help build teams, put people together that's going to work cohesively and to get to the goal of that particular project. And so it's there. It's very other types like it, like the disc dominant, influential, compliant, or steady. They're just tools to help you determine your nature, how you move into the world.
So one, if you were hiring staff, for instance, a company would commonly today have a prospective employee run through a series of tests, and
Mhm.
one typically most common would be this Myers-Briggs personality indicator that had you do questionnaires, fill out a questionnaire to determine how you act and react in your value systems in different way. And they come up with four basic principles, right, Sheila?
Yes.
Intuition. So in other words, there are intuitive types, sensing types,
Mm-hmm.
thinking types, and feeling types of people. These four foundational pieces:
Yes.
intuition, sensing, thinking, feeling, are
Mm-hmm.
four fundamental pieces of the
And you might be a
Myers-Briggs.
little bit of either, and that's why they have these different
The combinations you're saying.
combinations there. Yeah, you could be a
Yeah, yeah.
combo of those, and which is stronger and which are weaker. And so yes, it's a
So
very
so we brought this slide up because one might think, well, if you go home for Thanksgiving, if you go home to be with the family or interact with people, it's
Mhm.
really good in today's modern society to think, well, what is your type? Are you an INTJ? Are you an INFJ? What is your person? It's become a very common point of discussion to understand someone's nature. But as an astrologer, I say, well, hold on here. While we all are now commonly brought into this idea system of testing and discovering what our Myers-Briggs type is, as an astrologer, I want to say this looks very familiar. You mean sort of the fiery nature, the emotional water nature, the sensing nature. Is that what we're talking about? Indeed, what people don't really know is that the Myers-Briggs type was based upon the work of Carl Jung. And the work of Carl Jung was based upon astrology. Carl Jung himself was an astrologer. His daughter was a professional astrologer. Jung, it was said, uh, literally had a quote that stated something like, I will never sit with a patient without their astrological chart in my hand to understand their type. And so Carl Jung's ideas, his four personality types that Myers-Briggs based its work on, the intuition type, the sensing type, the thinking type, the feeling type, is astrology. That is directly that seasonal premise.
Mhm.
Are you a fiery season intuitive,
And it's
going with your
not,
gut?
yeah, right. And it's not just those types, then it's also if you're introverted or extroverted. That's also something you can determine quickly looking at somebody's chart, whether they're born in the day or the night.
Well, that's true. We're gonna
Hmm.
get there. Whether a person is a daytime extroverted
Hmm.
personality, or a nighttime introverted personality. Those are also things we will talk about in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, this idea of intuition, Carl Jung's four personality types: intuition, sensing, thinking, and feeling type. These four types. Intuition are the three fire signs. Sensing, like physically earthy, physically experiencing sensing, are
Mm-hmm.
the three earth signs. In other words, three fire signs or three fire seasons of the growing season, three earth signs of the growing season, three thinking or air signs or social communication, socially communicative turning points of the year, the social year, and
Mm-hmm.
three water, literally like water, rain, change of the environment through water, rain, and growth. Those are the four archetypes of the Myers-Briggs: intuition, fire; sensing, earth; thinking, analytic, mental; feeling, gut feeling, moving through life with our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So we could look through astrology here. Each sign belongs to one of these types. Fire signs: Aries, Leo, Sag. Aries is the sun rising after a long winter, and the sun beginning to rise ever higher every noon. The beginning of the warming and the growing cycle, the seed bursting out of the soil, is that fire of life. So springtime fire, middle of summer, long day, the longest days of the year, shortest nights, and the heat of the summer. And then lighting the hearth, lighting the fire, Sagittarius, this time, December. Those are the three fire signs. The three earth signs: Taurus, mud, springtime. What's the old adage, Sheila? April showers bring May flowers.
Mayflowers,
I always
yes.
think of that as Taurus, sun sign.
Mm-hmm.
So Taurus, earth sign; Virgo, earth sign, the harvest; Capricorn, earth sign, the roots of the tree, the energy of life, surviving the long winter by going into the roots of the earth. So earth signs: Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Air signs: the turning points of the year that are verbal, analytical, intellectual, and social. In other words, Gemini, that first turning point. Gemini is May, June. And of June, of course, is when corporate America and the schools and children begin to go back, Cancer, to the next sign, back home for summertime break. So it turns out that mutable sign, changeable air sign Gemini is the first air sign. They are intellectually, verbal, mentally oriented to a very, very high degree.
Mm-hmm.
Air signs are analytical and they are social, verbal people. Gemini air, Libra air. Libra is the turn of the year. Libra is after the harvest. Libra is that time of back to school, back to work, and
Mm-hmm.
team building of corporate America. And then air sign Aquarius, the third air sign, is the middle of the winter. In other words, you got to use your brain to survive below zero weather. That if you happen to be in a below zero environment, you've got to really be intelligent and be practically down to earth, intellectually problem solving during February, Aquarius. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, the air signs, and the water signs lastly. That is the first water sign, Cancer, June, July, and July, June is about the birthing of creatures, the nesting of creatures, multiple clutches of eggs, and for birds. And it's literally fecund. It's when the things you've planted in the spring have really come to full bloom. So we have full bloom, and then we have in spring, summertime rather, Cancer time, the harvest of berries. So it's that fruit, the fruit of the year is Cancer, water sign. Cancer's a water sign. Scorpio is the next water sign when the rains begin and the snows begin in October, November for
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio. And the last water sign is Pisces. That's where the end of the winter comes and the melting of the snow, Pisces. So the three water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. The water signs move through the world strictly based on their emotional gut feeling. I feel good, I don't feel good. I feel safe, I don't feel safe. Air signs move through the world strictly based on their socialization, They're being born during those social months. Verbal mental exchange. Earth signs move through the world based on functional practicalities. What can I hold in my hand? What is real? What is tangible? What is preserving of life? Fire signs Aries, fire sign Leo, fire sign Sag. They move by moving first, strike first, figure it out after. Shoot first, ask questions later. Fire signs are about going forward. And so, intuition, the Myers-Briggs intuitive type uses their gut to go forward. The Myers-Briggs sensing type senses and assesses the practical environment. The Myers-Briggs thinking type, well, analytically makes sense of the world and moves through it by thinking, reason, and social verbal connection. And the Myers-Briggs feeling type, well, again, water signs, they feel their way through the world.
Okay,
But
Alexandra, can
another
you go
tool,
back up to that
yes,
slide for a minute? For those watching on YouTube, they'll be able to see it. For those that are listening, this chart also has plus and minus in each of these sun signs. And now I know there's a lot to trying to understand someone's personality, but we're focusing mainly on the sun signs today. But I did want to understand the plus and minus that's in this chart.
yeah, in astrology, thanks for pointing that out, Sheila. The plus and minus, each sign having a plus or minus sign. That really
Mhm.
talks about yang or active and yin receptive. So there are sub-seasons of the growing season, sub-seasons of the year, sub-seasons of this seasonal time period that we all go through
Mm-hmm.
as we see fire signs and air signs and earth signs and water signs. There are actually another quality here where each sub-season can be an active yang season or a yin receptive. And
Mm-hmm.
so we call certain signs positive, really they mean yang, but negative or receptive. Positive action, kind of going forward, and negative reception, tuning in and receiving, waiting for information and data.
Mm-hmm.
Aries is a yang sign, it takes action. Taurus is a yin sign, it receives and waits for data and information to react to. Gemini is a yang sign. It uses mental verbal to interact with the environment to assess how to be in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer is a yin sign. It receives and emotionally tunes in a gut feeling. Leo is a yang sign, active. Virgo is a yin sign, receptive. Libra is a yang sign, active, doing social interaction. Scorpio is a yin sign, tuning into the interaction to see what's happening and who's doing what and why.
Mm-hmm.
Sag is a positive or yang sign, active, lighting the hearth, lighting the fire, getting things moving as the winter begins, responding to what must be done in the outer world. Capricorn is a yin sign, sensing, receiving, tuning in to what must be done to respond to the environmental changes, practical changes, Capricorn. Aquarius, the last yang sign, it's about analytically, intellectually assessing and having the right answer, the correct answer, because
Mm-hmm.
the Aquarians always think they're right, and oftentimes, darn it, they are, having the right answer to address the practical concerns of wintertime. Pisces is the last yang sign, totally receives a sense of what's happening and how do I respond. Or as Pisces, the two fish, the season of Pisces, February, March, in like a lion, out like a lamb, in like a lamb, out like a lion is the adage about the weather. You never know whether you're going to have snow and when the snow hits. Pisces is that duality of winter giving way to spring, tuning in to what's happening. So
Mm-hmm.
that's yang versus yin.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Another quick tool besides this idea of what sign are you, what element are you, fire, active, are you earth, practical, are you air, intellectual, are you water, feeling. There's a sidebar here, Sheila. When you and I were
Mm-hmm.
prepping, you were asking me, can we use your fire, earth, air, water, nature to describe back in that family gathering or social connection? Who gets along with whom and why and how? So
Yeah.
here we have another element of astrology, Sheila, which is fire people and air people, they flow. Earth people and water people, they flow. Like earth and water, you mix it together, you get mud.
Hmm.
Air and fire, well, air feeds fire. So those are complementary elements, and those are complementary signs. So let's say Aries and Gemini, they get along, or Aries and Aquarius, Aries fire and Aquarius air, they get along. Fire and air signs flow, earth and water signs flow. But what do you get when you combine, let's say, fire sign, Aries, with, for instance, Capricorn, earth sign, Capricorn, fire and earth? What do you get? Lava. You get lava, you get
Hmm.
melted earth. Or when you have, let's say, earth and
Volcanic
air,
explosions.
volcanic explosions, fire and earth, volcanic explosions. When you
Hmm.
have fire and air, what do you get? Like a tornado.
Hmm.
A tornado, a conflict. I'm sorry, fire. Pardon me. I meant to say air and earth. With air and earth
Hmm.
signs, you have a tornado. You get a conflict of natural states of moving through the world. Each person's being born fire, earth, air, or water sign says that's the literal environment they're born into, the season they're born into, and the nature that their family relates to them through and by.
Hmm.
Again, simply put, if a child's born during the middle of a blizzard, that mom is really keenly aware it's a blizzard. And the season that led up to that child being born in a blizzard was also about hunkering down, wintertime. And also, too, if you're born during, let's say, the middle of the summer, fire sign Leo, I think of President Bill Clinton, Sheila.
Hmm.
That guy was clearly born during a time when kids are off from school and it's a party, party
Hmm.
time. Bill Clinton
Yes.
is the epicenter of party. So our fire, earth, air, water natures, seasonal timing is about the social environment, the physical environment that imprints mom and dad and child.
Yes.
Another quick and dirty tool, folks, that we have with this seasonal sun sign archetype that's very much like the Myers-Briggs archetype is simply, Sheila, are we born in the spring? Are we born in the summer months? Are we born in the fall months? Are we born in the winter months? That's another really quick way to understand a person's nature, how they operate and organize themselves to be in the world. Wintertime people, right now, December. So Sag is that turning point of fall into winter. Sag
Hmm.
Capricorn, that turning point. That turning point is fall, preparation. Libra, Scorpio, Sag, preparing for the depth of winter. Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, being in the depth of winter. So there is a nuance here, Sheila, where if you're a spring baby, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, if you're a summer person, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, you're all about the fecundity and the ease and when things are flowing.
Hmm.
If you're fall, you're preparing for the hardship of winter. If you're winter, you're in it. You're about surviving and practical function in the environment. So if a person's character is wintertime, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces,
Hmm.
they're going to have a fundamental premise that life must be orderly and organized to be okay. Well,
And
in
so,
springtime,
mhm.
I'm sorry.
No, and I'm going to say, so people, the signs in the winter probably have on the same page with how to flow through life. So they go along pretty well, or right? So that's
Totally, yes.
another way to look at this. If you just, even if you didn't know the person's birthday, but if you say, hey, what, season were you born in? Winter, or we can just ask. Most people know their zodiac sign, but if you, yeah, I just see this nice graph and I'm thinking, well, the quadrants, if everybody in that quadrant gets along, what about the cross quadrants? That means some potential
So you're
conflicts.
asking if everybody in the same quadrant,
Hmm.
let's say winter quadrant, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, do they all get along? Generally, yes,
Hmm.
because their premise is internal safety and functional safety survival. You're asking if all the spring signs, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, do they all get along?
Hmm.
Again, the answer is yes, because their fundamental nature is springing forward, going sort of shooting first, asking questions later, getting
Hmm.
out there and happening at life, happening to life, having life flow with you. Go forward. Summer, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, it's all about those days of summer that are long, long days, short nights, and really living life and doing what you want, enjoying your time, even your summer vacation.
Yeah, so
Fall, Libra,
you're,
Scorpio.
yeah, it's
Libra,
fun,
Scorpio,
fun,
Sag is
fun.
preparing. What's that?
Yeah, the summer is fun, fun, fun till dad takes your
Summer's
T-bird away.
some fun, fun. Dad takes the T-bird away.
Yeah.
That's right. Fun, 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 like the Beach Boys song.
Hmm.
That's right on. So if you know what season you're born in, or the person that you're encountering is born in, you can assess whether they're going to understand you. Winter and fall people get the idea of being prepared. Spring and summer people get the idea of just having at it, going at life, enjoying life, embracing life. What was the movie? So to seize the day,
Hmm.
seize the day is spring, summer.
Okay.
Also in astrology, the time of day. We alluded to it before. In our next show, we'll discuss it in depth. But that time of day is very similar to this idea of what season.
Hmm.
What season, if you're spring, summer, that means you're an extrovert. If you're fall, winter, it means you're an introvert. If you're a daytime baby, it means you're an extrovert. If you're a
Hmm.
nighttime baby, it means you're an introvert. So we'll discuss in depth in our next show daytime babies versus nighttime babies and that cycle of human experience from dawn to sunset and sunset to midnight and back to dawn again. So the time of birth for astrology charts is very important to really understand.
Hmm.
So again, we'll discuss this slide also, how you are wired for relationship. Basically, fire, earth, air, water, and a thing called quadruplicities, whether you are a cardinal sign, a
Hmm.
fixed sign, or a mutable sign. Cardinal meaning one of the four quarters of the seasonal change, either a season that be a sign, a sun sign that begins the season or ends the season. That's a
Hmm.
cardinal sign.
Yeah,
Fixed means
yeah.
those signs that are right in the middle of change.
Like I said, yeah, this gets into more detail so you can really get into, the nuances of the relationship. But can you go back to the other slide for a second? No, one more. The one that has one more, sorry, the one that has, yeah, this. Because one of the things we wanted to explore or give our audience a taste of is how you can just knowing what sign that they are and how it relates to you in a sense. Like I'll give the example of when my granddaughter was born. She's born in Capricorn um, sun, and I am. And Capricorns tend to like to say prepare, and they can be serious, and they're typically old souls. And she did not like me calling her a baby. She did not like me saying, "Oh, taking you to daycare." She said it was school, and I quickly realized that she wants to be treated almost like a little adult. So baby talk and that and handling her like a baby didn't work. She just did not want to be thought of as a baby. So when I changed gears and talked to her more like an adult and acknowledged that yes, she's going to school, then it was easier to get her to go to school and dealing with her in general. When I realized that that was part of her nature, being serious. Don't laugh at her if she's trying to tell you something, and also the fact that to speak to her like an adult, not in baby
It's a very
terms.
typical Capricorn story for children. They very commonly want to be spoken to as if they are already an adult. And of course, some believe in reincarnation. At some point, not long ago, they were an adult, and here they are as kids again.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something else too, that when we say a person's born during a certain season, spring, summer, fall, or winter, like a Capricorn is born at the beginning, really, of winter, really settling in. We
Mm-hmm.
are saying that that child came in when mom and dad were really stabilizing, settling in, and really like prepping for the winter storms to really hit. So Capricorn children, Aquarius children, Pisces too, Capricorn and Aquarians especially are really born during the depth of winter, and they are born when all the practical, functional, sort of when the reality pill is hitting, you know. But you could say likewise, Capricorn is opposite the sign of Cancer, June, July. So would a baby born in winter have an opposite fundamental way of organizing themselves in the world from a
Mm-hmm.
summertime baby? The answer is yes. A summertime baby, a Cancer, opposite Capricorn, Leo opposite Aquarius. These summertime people will say, God, you wintertime guys are just way too practical and stuffy. You're just too uptight. You're too stuffy. You're too practical. You're too concerned with functionally what's happening and why and what's going to happen next. Can't you just live? Can't you just party and enjoy? So there's another idea of a person's essential nature. In other words, too, when we're talking about family systems here, whether they're your children or parents or other siblings in your
Mhm.
family, if you're a wintertime baby and one of your siblings is a springtime baby, you're going to have a very different operating system. You're going to look at life from a totally different lens. So that's an important concept to consider as well. Although that sun sign, that one element of a birth chart, that one cycle of a chart, uh, only your sun sign, your season sign of birth, while there's much more to look at, it is foundationally fundamental to understanding how we relate to the
Mhm.
world out there.
Yeah.
So we'll come back in our part two to this table of fire, earth, air, water signs, quadruplicities, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Are you action oriented? Are you fixed in your nature? Are you changeable in your nature? Are you born mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sag, Pisces, for instance, born during a changeable season, a season of change versus a season like fixed sign Leo, the dead of winter, the dog days, summer rather, the dog days of summer. We'll come
Mhm.
back to this at length next time. So, last slide here for this episode, the chart of the United States, July 4th, 1776. July 4th means we are a Cancerian nation. It means the sun's moving in front of the backdrop of stars of Cancer. It means that our nation's born July 4th, the middle of summertime, really, sort of, I should say, beginning, middle of summertime. We're born at 13 degrees or on the 13th day of Cancer. July 4th is the 13th degree or 13th day of the sign of Cancer. There's 30 days per sign, 30 days per
Mhm.
sign, 12 signs, 360, a whole seasonal wheel.
Mhm.
So we're born as a Cancerian nation during the time that families gather, that they're not at work, they're not hammering away at the job. Families are gathering together to join one another for summertime unity and summertime family vacation. Cancer is the sign of family gathering and family abundance. It's
Mhm.
a spring summertime sign, so it's outgoing, it's extroverted, and it's a water sign, so it's feeling. It says essentially that our nation is a nation of feeling, emotional, personalizing individuals. We personalize the heck out of everything. That it's all about us, the individual. A good example, Sheila, of another chart for a nation, uh, Great Britain's chart, is a Capricorn nation, the opposite of Cancer.
Mhm.
And they're not so much about what do I feel personally, but what is our collective social need. So we'll discuss this a lot more
And
during
keep
part
keep
two.
calm and carry on. Step up or step
Keep
up. Step.
the British say keep calm, carry
Carry
on, stiff
on.
upper lip, stiff
Yeah,
upper
stiff up
lip.
that right. And
Yeah,
whereas I've traveled overseas for my when I was working in corporate America, and you could always tell where the Americans were, are especially after dinner. They're usually the ones laughing and kind of loud, because we're kind of very social in that sense. So that's an example of
yeah,
again how
Americans
to.
are known for their emotionalizing
Hmm.
and personalizing and being really personally in your space, where maybe people from the Great Britain, Capricorn nation, are known to be rather conservatively cautious about what they personally deliver. Well, so folks, another episode has come and gone. We're going to do part two shortly. But in the meantime, anyone who wishes to book an appointment with me, please do. Please do visit my website, www.astrologyspirit.com. Love to work with you, love to see you. Love to have you even join us in a mailing list for future webinars and teachings and so forth. So, with
Certainly.
all that, thank you all for watching and listening, and we'll see you again soon.
Yes. Thank you. Bye bye.